Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show on a very nice Thursday.
Yeah.
It's elite outside.
It is elite.
Yesterday was good.
It's cold this morning, though.
But the wind was awful. Yeah. Wind was trash.
And now, here with a oh gosh, scathing review of the Pacific Northwest is Ashley Pickle.
It was great. You went
to Seattle.
I went to Seattle. That was my first time ever visiting Seattle. I have been to like the northern part of California and stuff, so I've been up in that neck of the woods before, but never to Seattle, and it was fantastic. I was talking to our social media guy Will earlier, and I was like, it was fantastic to visit. Loved it. Could not live there. Could not live there.
It has a reputation, I think a well-earned reputation for being a bit dreary. It is overcast a lot. When you get out there on kind of the sound and stuff, it is overcast and rainy and cold.
But excellent food town, lots of stuff to do. The hiking, I mean, it's gorgeous. The hiking is gorgeous. The lakes are pretty. Like it checks all the boxes other than the fact that it's kind of chilly and that it rains too much.
It's big fleece town.
Yeah.
Feels like a big fleece town.
Like I said, the chowder game was strong. I was here for that portion of it.
So this is what I appreciate about Seattle. I think it's on a short list of American cities that have decided, all right, one of the ways that we are going to get people to come to our town is that we are going to commit to being like a big, unique food and drink town.
Yes.
It's a town that you come to eat and to drink different things.
Yes.
And the best of those different things. New Orleans is like that.
Yes.
New York City's kind of by that by accident almost.
Yeah, there's
you know
just so much to do there. It's
right. It is there are very few towns like that. But what struck me, and it's been years since I've been to Seattle, the Stone Age actually. But what struck me when I was there was like, wow, this is a real kick-ass food town.
It
and
really was.
Great beer town too if you're into beer.
It was cool because obviously we did the whole Pikes Peak Market and every Park Place, whatever. We did that.
Park Place is a place on Monopoly.
We did that. $200 and you can pass go.
Yeah.
But it was wild just because, when you're walking through, I mean, it's just every single different booth has like a different smell and it all smells fantastic. And I was hungry when we were walking through there, so that made it even worse. But there was absolutely no shortage. The one thing Powers had suggested to me was to get the Beecher's mac and cheese. I wasn't able to get it from Beecher's itself as we were there on a Saturday, and it was just, slammed.
Yeah.
But I was able to try some from a different restaurant, like with their same cheese. It was exceptional.
It is, and one thing I remember about that trip was, and we went in July. Because it was hot down here and it was nice and cold, and the Rangers were playing up there in Seattle. Great ballpark too.
Yes,
excellent ballpark. But I remember her marveling at like the flowers in the market. Like,
unbelievable.
The flowers are just so like they're everywhere and they're beautiful, and like it was sad. Like
you want to take them.
This is me.
Yeah.
Hey, big husband guy.
Yeah.
It's me, wife guy. I buy my wife flowers a lot.
Yeah.
So like that's something I like to do. And there was no point in us buying flowers there because we're going to take it back to our hotel.
Right. Yeah. The tulips, obviously it being March and spring, and the tulips were, those were
amazing.
Literally the most beautiful flowers that I have ever seen. And it was the same thing. You want to grab it and you want to take it back. But it's like, well, you can't. They do have some really beautiful dried flowers that you can take back with you. I'm not super into that, but I do know that there are some people that are. But I'll tell you what I got myself in trouble with at the market was there is an unbelievable record store.
Oh, boy.
Down in like the basement of it, kind of Mad Cow, I think was the name of it. And I had to stop myself at only getting 2 records. They had some of the best blues section that I've ever seen. So I had to stop myself at getting just 2 because I was concerned that you don't want them to warp in your suitcase, and I only had a purse as my carry-on, so it wasn't going to fit. But I had to show some self-restraint there. It wasn't necessarily the flowers, it was the vinyl store down in the basement.
And finally, to wrap up your review of the Pacific Northwest, let's talk about your discovery of, I would say, the most majestic craft in nautical history.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
It was a hot tub boat. And
a hot tub boat.
A hot tub boat. And I did not know that these existed until my best friend who I went up to go see said, hey, we booked this. And I was like, hang on, say that one more time. It is a little boat. You drive it with a joystick.
So there's no captain.
No captain. You go out. They literally send you out in the Lake Union by yourself.
It's not like you get a pontoon and you go on a pontoon on one of the lakes and they have a captain that it's a party boat or whatever, but they have a captain. This is you're alone on this boat.
Yeah, and it's real little. Like if there were big waves, you're not making it really. You might be freezing in Lake Union, but anyway, they send you out there, and it can fit 6 people, but the entire boat is a hot tub. They've got a little compartment in the back that has a Bluetooth speaker in it, and then a compartment up front that you can put your phones and towels and stuff like that. But basically the entire, it's just a floating hot tub, and you take it out. We took it out for 2 hours around Lake Union. You can see the skyline. We got to see a plane land in the water, which that was really cool. And the painted design was a killer whale, so it looked like Shamu was landing in the water, like right next to us. We were waving and stuff. A little concerned about the movement of the boat at that point, but it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't know those existed, but
no.
I can confirm it's a lot of fun.
So now, if you get rich,
I'm going to buy a hot tub boat.
We all know what Pickle's doing when she hits the ladder. Okay, hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show on the internet for 2 days in a row.
Woo! And only 2 days.
Only 2 days. My name is Greg Supper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, or you'll listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local, mediocre internet show. Sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle. Hello, Ashley Pickle.
Howdy, team. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, March 24th, 2022. 245 days till Thanksgiving. Happy early birthday.
To who?
To Trisha Pickle's little girl.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's your birthday. We're not even going to have a show to roast you on.
I planned this very well.
You turned 64?
65. Put some respect on my name.
All right, AARP. Good for you. Well, I won't be able to tell you on the air tomorrow, so I'll tell you right now. I need you to edit that thing I sent you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Episode 1355. I'm a jerk. I'm sorry. Happy birthday, Pickle.
Well, thank you.
On today's show, guys, it's Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
We are going to break down the top returning passers in Texas high school football in 2022. So we'll have that. In the back half of the show, we're going to be joined by the new head coach of the Frisco Legacy Christian Eagles, Coach Toby Trotter, who takes over this private school program here at the DFW Metroplex. His first head coaching job. If that's a name that you know, he's bounced around a little bit, but he's probably most known as he was the defensive coordinator on those Highland Park teams, 2016, 2017, that one state championship.
They're pretty good.
So he won one state championship, 16-7 over Temple, and then he won another state championship game as a defensive coordinator, 53-49 over Manville. So
a tale of two stories.
Real dichotomy in results there. We'll ask him about that, but I know he's really excited to have an opportunity to be a head coach there at Frisco Legacy Christian. We'll talk with him coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door, Miss Pickle?
We sure do. It was Nick Morton, Rob Hadaway, Tony Blaylock, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in, fellas.
Howdy, friends. Let's get, and by the way, no show tomorrow. I guess we should say that's why we were wishing Pickle a happy birthday off the top, is because Pickle is taking her birthday off.
No, I'm not.
She's like, she went up to our boss Adam, and I don't know how you got a baseball bat in the office, but you held the end of the baseball bat up to his chin.
Yeah, security's real light around here recently.
And you said, "I'm taking my birthday off."
I'm actually not. We're going to educate youths. We're giving back to our community on my birthday, Dipper.
Not in this movie. All right. It's time for Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Welcome to Math Tuesday.
And you can't convince us otherwise.
Math Tuesday. And today, we're going to take a look at the top returning passers in Texas high school football in 2020. Top returning passers. Because, by the way,
we should have called it
guys,
like top returning cannons.
Like, by the way, guys, top returning passers means that you're coming back. I had somebody slide into my DMs and be like, "Hey, you missed so-and-so. He would be number 8 on the list
gosh.
if he was coming back when we did
returning,
the rushers."
A key word being
but
returning.
He graduated.
He ain't coming back.
So he did this as an underclassman coming back for another year. And I've got a piece going up on TexasFootball.com about this. And I'm not going to surprise anybody when I say that the passing game in Texas has taken off in the last 20 years. And I always like to find little nuggets that really kind of really illustrate exactly how prevalent passing has become in the last 20 years. Okay? So, I've got a stat for you.
Ooh.
You ready for stat on Math Tuesday?
Math Stat Tuesday.
So, from 1920 to 2001.
Okay.
The first 81 years of UIL Texas high school football. There were 41 3,000-yard passing seasons. Okay? There were 41 from 1920 to 2001.
Goodness.
41.
That's a very low number.
Do you know who the first one was? This is an interesting trivia question.
I do not.
First one was Todd Dodge.
How about that?
Port Arthur Jefferson. Yes, that's right. So
it's a guy that knows a thing or two about quarterbacks.
There's a little tidbit. Okay, so there were 41 3,000-yard passers from 1920 to 2001.
So in 80 years.
Last year, there were 45.
Whoa. Man. Boy, howdy.
Last year!
We doubled that. Or, well, we matched it, plus some.
We had more 3,000-yard passers and 4,000-yard passers. More 3,000-yard passers last year
than in the 80-year span before then.
In the entire first 81 years of UIL Texas high school ball, 11-man football, I should say.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
That's how football has exploded. It's something like, if you want to break it down, it's something like there are 600 400-yard passers or 3,000-yard passers in the last 20 years compared to 41 in the first 80. Anyway, there's that.
Wild.
So, since there are all these talented signal callers, inevitably some of them are coming back for another year. Some for their senior year, some for their junior year. And so, here are the top 10 returning passers in Texas high school football in 2022. We start with the defending state champs in Stephenville. They bring back Ryder Lambert. Ryder Lambert
will not have Coy Aiken,
but he led the state, in much like we talked about Reuben Owens when we did the running thinking, and how he's coming back. Ryder Lambert led the entire state in passing in 2021 as a junior. He's coming back.
Wow.
It's the first time. Would you care to guess the last time the state's leading passer of all UIL 11-man quarterbacks, the state's leading passer returned for another season? I'll give you a hint. You worked here.
I worked here, which would make it 2019.
He did it in 2019. He came back for 2020.
Cade Klubnik.
Think big-time receiver that he threw to a lot. We're actually going to talk to a coach in his Rangel,
Garrett Rangel, because he would throw to Marvin Mims.
Exactly right.
Aha.
He threw for 48-55 back in 2019, returned for junior year in 2020. That's the last time we had the state's leading passer returning. He's not the only 4,000-yard passer who's back, though. Chris Teaton, the quarterback from Dublin, the Lions, threw 40-66 yards. And by the way, did it in 3 fewer games than Ryder Lambert did. Now, I think Lambert was getting pulled in a lot of those games. But that's neither here nor there. Very impressive. I think that's a familiar name at number 3. Jackson Arnold is number 3, 39-21.
It's kind of the hot talk of the quarterbacks right now.
But I think the guy next to him, another Denton County guy, is a guy you may not have heard of, and Jacob Wilson, the Byron Nelson quarterback, who threw for 3,916 yards last year. Just 5.
And that's a lot fewer games.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, rounding out the top 5 is Mason Shore at Leander Rouse. And I want to spotlight him, 38-13, and of anybody on this list that you see right here, he had the highest completion percentage, over 70% completion. There, Mason Shore, number 5.
Coach Mann is not scared to hype that guy up.
Braden Bennett is back at Mount Vernon, throwing for 37-89. Brad Willard's going to be happy to have him back. Desmond Woodson at Marlin is back, 3,636 yards a year ago. Ashton DuBose, probably one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the state. 36-24 last year. He also ran for 943, if you're into that kind of thing. So he is back for the 8th leading passer in UIL 11-man football. Then you have Keldrick Luster. Now, Keldrick Luster threw for 34-35 at Frisco Liberty last year. What's interesting is he's not going to be back at Liberty next year.
He transferred.
He transferred to McKinney, where he will take the controls of Marcus Shavers' offense. It's very interesting to see that. But Keldrick Luster, the 9th leading returning passer in the state, is going to have a new home in 2022.
And Shavers has always had some younger receivers that are finally getting old enough to start making an impact. That's interesting.
And rounding up the top 10 is the only sophomore the guy will only soon to be junior on the list, in Jaden Brown, who took over for Andrew Body down there at Corpus Christi Miller. Did not skip a beat.
I was going to say they're considered a factory down there in the Coastal Bend at this point.
34-21, he took over that high-powered Miller offense. Overall, there are 22 UIL 11-man quarterbacks who threw for at least 3,000 yards, who are coming back for another year. The ones who didn't make the top 10, if you're interested, just outside the top 10, Dripping Springs is Austin Novosad, Connor Cuff from Carthage, and I know we talked with Coach Scott Surratt. I know he's got really high hopes for him to really make that next step there at Carthage after throwing for 33.66 as a junior. Bo Edmondson at Lake Travis is back. So is Dylan Raiola at Burleson. Hondo Franklin, the quarterback at Lovejoy, which is, by the way,
oh god, that's
Lovejoy
so confusing.
Quarterback Hondo Franklin. He has 3 high schools in his name.
Oh, sir.
Seminoles Blake Flowers is back. Lubbock Coronado's Jet Carroll is back after throwing for more than 3,000 yards. Tyler Moody at Brock. It's kind of strange to see a Brock quarterback over 3,000 yards passing, but that's the new world under Billy Mathis there at Brock. Southlake Carroll's Caden Anderson is back. Coach Riley Dodge got another one there. Austin Vandergrift's Braden Buchanan is back after throwing for 3,000 yards. Cannon Gibson at Wink, who I think was a 3,000, 1,000 guy. I want to say he ran for 1,000 yards last year, too. And I think he was only a sophomore, but he's back. Anyway, and so is Prosper's Harrison Rosar, who threw for 3,001 yards last year. And so those are the top returning passers in Texas high school football in 2022.
Stepp made a good point that the only 2 4,000-yard passers are located in the same county about 15 miles apart.
That's strange. Right?
How wild is that?
Stephenville and Dublin. Something in the water out there in that kind of
that barren wasteland of Texas.
Big country. You'd be nice.
No, it's true. They'll admit it.
That big country west of DFW, southwest of DFW.
Barren wasteland.
Before you get out to Abilene, you got to be nice. So
there's just nothing else out there.
It is interesting. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's same county. And then, by the way, the next 2 are same county, too. Denton Guyer and Byron Nelson. Very interesting to see. And so it's going to be very intriguing to see who's able to kind of live up to this hype. It's been a while since I would need to look up the last time we had a guy finish in the top 10 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So, we're going to see who can kind of live up to that hype. But in any case, those are your top returning passers in Texas high school football in 2022. Check out my piece on TexasFootball.com. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at TCTF. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. That's our subscription package. 2 magazines and a year's worth of exclusive online content. The real pitch right now is that if you want to get the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands,
which you do,
go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. And as we mentioned, tomorrow's Pickle's birthday. And what Pickle wants for her birthday from you is a Mercedes.
I mean, shoot, you ain't wrong. But also a subscription to Dave Campbell's Texas Football will do.
You know what you want?
What?
You want North Texas Honda.
I do want a North Texas Honda.
Our good friends at North Texas Honda. Anyway, but you also want them to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
That's what I ultimately want in life at all times.
TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Pickle, let's go to the hotline, and let's bring in a guy that I ghosted on Monday while I was trying to hold down my breakfast. But he is the new head coach of the Frisco Legacy Christian Eagles. We are joined by Coach Toby Trotter. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing excellent. How are things in beautiful Frisco, Texas?
Man, it's a beautiful day, and I'm excited to be here. I hope your family is a lot better than you were on today.
So let's pull back the curtain a little bit. I told Coach Trotter that we're going to have him on Monday. Really excited, got everything queued up, stuff like that. And then the stomach bug swept through my house. And the last thing on my mind at that moment was I got to call Coach Trotter and let him know we're not having a show. So he being a guy who keeps a calendar, he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, waiting for the phone call." I'm like, "Coach, oh my gosh, I'm dying."
10% dead.
Anyway, but I appreciate you understanding and making some time for us today.
I understand when the stomach flu goes through an entire family. You're just praying that it doesn't hit mama, and that's really all that matters. Because if she goes down, the whole ship goes down. So
Mama got it.
It's not good.
Mama got it Monday night, and guess what? The ship went down. But
no, I knew it.
We're all better now. Coach, you've taken the job there at you've been there on the job there at Frisco Legacy Christian for a little less than a month now, and I'm interested. There's a great article they've got up on their website about why you're such a great fit for this job, and I kind of want to take this and flip it on its head. You're a guy who's got a good resume. You're a guy who's been around. You've been a member of state championship programs. There's a lot of programs I would love to have you. Why is Frisco Legacy Christian the right program for you?
Man, that's a great question. I think Legacy is set up to be such an amazing place. It is a special place with really special people, and I'm obviously thankful to Lynn Dupree, who is the executive AD here, for all the work he's done to get me here. And I'm just super excited. I think it's one of those things where you have exposure to different things, different times, and you don't know how your paths cross or why God does certain things. But I was on the campus here of Legacy 5 years ago when I was coaching college, because I've been in and out of college between Highland Park and different colleges at the Division II and Division III level. So I was recruiting here on campus about 5 years ago. And, just kind of one of those things where you walk onto a campus and you're around the people and you just kind of go, okay, this is a pretty neat place. And it's kind of one of those things that you put in the back of your mind, and you go on and you do things, and then something else comes up, and it comes up again, and something else comes up, and it comes again. And so my paths have crossed with Legacy several times, and it is just a really amazing opportunity that opened up in just the right time to be here. And so it's been on my mind and heart for a long time, and I'm super thankful to be here.
You're coming over from kind of down the road there in Addison, where you're the defensive coordinator most recently at Trinity Christian. You led them, helped lead them to the Division V, the league championship last year. And I'm interested. Everyone has things that they take from jobs along the way. This was your first private school state championship that you were able to claim. What did you take from that experience last year? Leading Trinity, helping lead Trinity Christian to a state championship.
Well, it's I want to clarify, it was a league championship.
Yeah, league championship.
And so we were in that Division V for 2 years, and so it was a great thing to be a part of. Like my time at Highland Park, I think the time with Trinity Christian is something that I really feel passionate about. Is you got to win with the guys that you have. You have to win with the kids that are walking your hallways. And so that was such a rewarding experience to be able to take those kids. They've been through a rough time of going 0-21 in the last 2 years. And then we went, 5-1 during the COVID year, and then 9-2 in the year after that. And just be able to see their confidence build, to be able to put in system, to put in culture. And that's exactly what I want to do. We'll do here at Legacy is just encourage and win with the kids that you have, and just see them blossom and to see them have success and do things that they've never done before is very rewarding as a coach.
We're talking with Toby Trotter, the new head coach of Frisco Legacy Christian here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TFToday. Coach, this is, you're taking over the big chair there at Frisco Legacy Christian. I know you had an opportunity to address your players there, shortly after you were named the head coach. I'm interested what your message to your guys was the first time, you walk in and say, "Hey, I'm your new head coach." What was the message you were trying to convey to your new players?
That's great. It was an exciting meeting. I was so eager to meet with them, and it's interesting you asked me that question. I gave each one of them about a foot. I had to make sure that it wasn't considered like a weapon, but I gave them each one about a foot long, 12-inch long, basically like a yardstick, just a wooden stake. And we talked about our 6 core values, and we talked about and I asked them what they felt like they wanted to put into this program of those 6 core values. If they thought it was missing, or they thought they want more of it. And they were going to put that on that stake. They were going to write it on that stake, and they were going to take it home and talk to their parents about it. But basically my message was that we were going to drive a stake in the ground. We're going to take ground that we've never taken before. And so we talked about that, where these guys, they've been through some things together, and they wanted to say, "Hey, look, this is the ground that I'm going to take, and we're not going to give it back." And so as a program, my passion was to talk to these guys the first day of, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to get there, and this is the ground that we're going to take, and I want you to be a part of claiming that ground for yourself, for this team. And I think that they really grasped on that message, and that's something they're really passionate about, is basically going places that they've never been before.
Talking with Toby Trotter of Frisco Legacy Christian here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in this conversation at #TFToday. Coach, I'm interested. Your resume includes a couple of stops in college. You're the co-defensive coordinator there at Southeastern Oklahoma State. You're a defensive coordinator at Hendrix College, and there would be a number of coaches who say, you know what, I was a coach in high school, and now I'm moving up the ladder. I'm going to the college ranks. And obviously, high school has some sort of pull to you. Why? Obviously, there are opportunities out there at the college level. Why do you keep? What brings you back to high school football in Texas?
That's a very interesting question. Different parts of my career, obviously, as a father and as a husband. I was raising small kids when I was the Division II level at Southwestern. I was going to clarify, it's not Southeastern, so there may be some listeners that may get mad at that. So, but it was a great time, and I was, when you're in college, you're either, I'll say this, between guys who coached in high school and college, you're either passionate about recruiting or you really dislike it. And so I was one of those guys that I loved it. I felt like I was made for that. I love to recruit. I love getting on the road. I love the lifestyle of the college coach, where it really, takes your different parts of your year and breaks it up. But, when I obviously loved my time leaving from Division II to go to Highland Park, won basketball state championships there, and love that environment, love the culture. And so when I had the chance to really put my family in one place, and that's what I really enjoy about the private school environment, is I have all three kids here, and this is something that we can do as a family, and we can do it as basically a family calling. That's what I want to be a part of, and that's what has been special to me. And in this part of my life, I get to see my children, get to coach my son, and be a part of a culture that is more than just a football team. I describe Legacy Christian as a really, I would say it's a really healthy 3A program right in the middle of Dallas. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of that fun small town atmosphere. And you get to be in the middle of a really thriving city. And so this is where our community is. This is where our family is. And so that's what makes me excited about it.
And let me kind of follow up on that. This is a program there at Frisco Legacy Christian that's been no stranger to success. They've had great years in the past. Mm-hmm. This is your first head coaching job, and I think there may be a question out there. What does a Toby Trotter coach team looks like? So, what does a Toby Trotter coach team look like? What can we expect when the Eagles hit the field in the fall?
Yeah, I think that the main thing for me is that when I come into a place, I want to be able to. I'm passionate about building and developing. So I just feel like I want to be able to take something, and it's not about my stamp, but it's just take something and make it better than I found it, and be able to pour some belief into some kids and do some special things. And so, if you look at the last three places I've been, if I can look at tangible statistics from a defensive side of things, because I'm a defensive coordinator, I'd like to see, hey, we went from 47 points a game to 17. We went from 37 points to 17 a game. There are some really tangible results with that. And then from the offensive side, I want to be in a very healthy offensive environment, scoring a lot of points, and just teaching these kids to be able to do everything from three phases of the game, and where we're going to win some battles from the brotherhood that's going to make us a championship football team. So a Toby Trotter team is a team that's going to fight hard, and we may not look like everybody else as far as getting off the bus, but just like any other time that I've had where we win championships, it's about the product that you put on the field and the heart that you play with. And so I'm hoping that we could take that 1-9 last year and turn that around.
Toby Trotter of Frisco Legacy Christian here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TFToday. All right, Coach. We mentioned about your resume. Part of your resume involves 4 years on the staff for Randy Allen there at Highland Park, included a pair of state championship games. Everyone's kind of a product of coaches that they coach under. You got to coach with one of the very best that's ever done it. What did you learn, and what are you going to take from learning from Coach Allen?
Yeah, well, Coach Allen is awesome, and everybody knows that Coach Allen is he's unsurpassed by anybody. And that's one of the reasons I was thriving at the Division II level. And when Randy Allen called, I dropped everything and went. And so I'd known him for about 10 years through Fellowship of Christian Athletes and different things with coaches and coaches' wives and different things like that. And so I was able to, come in there and coach in a really special time on that staff. And, the main thing about Coach Allen is that he pulls great families together. He lets the X's and O's take care of themselves. And the culture that he builds is one of respect and one of growth. And you're always going to be valued for what you bring to the table. And it's one of loyalty. And, I've learned a lot of things from Randy. But the main thing is that I'm one of many that he's given a chance to grow and develop. And I look at all those guys that were on our staff for about 3 years in there, when we won all those state championships. And I think everybody is either a defensive, offensive coordinator or head coach at that time. And he just sends them out. And so I've always been grateful to Randy and Carolyn for everything that they've done for my family and the culture. And he's just a guy that you never forget everything that comes out of his mouth. And it's always positive.
Finally, Coach, let's talk about, you were the defensive coordinator, or no, you were on the defensive staff for Highland Park there in 2017. The 2006,
yes, the game
2016, real dominant defensive effort over a really good Temple team, really snuffed them out. A defense first win, and then the next year, and I'm just pulling up my notes here, appeared to be a bit different. With Highland Park winning 53-49, and I don't think I've ever gotten to ask a guy on the defensive staff there for Highland Park about what's going through your head during that chaos. So what was that experience like for you? Because I have to imagine, as a defensive guy, offensive guys are going crazy. There's a lot of fun. I have to imagine you're pulling your hair out.
Oh my gosh. I just remember you, because I remember you watching. I recorded the game, and I'm watching it the day before Christmas Eve, the next day, in a state of euphoria. And I just remember your reaction to the game, and that's enough it was just classic. So but I always tell people, all of our offensive coaches at time, they're all different places now, and they're like, oh yeah, we love 17. I was like, I liked 16 a lot better when we gave up only 9 points a game through 6 games in the playoffs. But it was we made the play when we had to, and it's what we teach about our guys all the time of, if you got an inch to defend, they still haven't scored. And that was the most amazing thing I've ever been a part of. And it's not like we had a lot of great calls to make. I mean, they had 17 Division I commits, and they were a great football team. And it came literally down to the very last foot. But it's all those things that I just talked about that made that play. I mean, you got Hudson Clark, who is playing at Arkansas right now, that was in on that play. You've got James Herring, who was who's a sophomore All-American at Harvard, and Zach Foltz, who's just a kind of a undersized safety. But those guys, they played hard, and they made that play right there at the end. And it was really special. And we were experiencing a lot of great players in that game. It was a madhouse.
And in the end, it's remembered for a defensive play by the secondary.
That's right.
So good job, Coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just forget all the massive plays we gave up during the game. And the kickoff. I mean, the last 4 minutes is enough to give me a heart attack just thinking about it. So it was crazy. But it was an awesome time. Great kids, and that's just a product of them working hard. It was awesome.
He's Toby Trotter. He's the new head coach of the Frisco Legacy Christian Eagles. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the new gig. Can't wait to see what your Eagles do in the fall.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks you guys for having me on.
Absolutely. There he goes. Toby Trotter, head coach of the Frisco Legacy Christian Eagles here on Texas Football Today. Good dude. And yeah, when I got an opportunity to book him, I was like, I have a lot of questions because he's had a really unique career. Mm-hmm. He was at one point I didn't ask him about this, but he was at one point like a baseball player agent. He was a TCU chaplain for a couple of years. Huh. He's had a really eclectic career and learned from some of the very best coaches, obviously, in the state. and Texas high school ball. So his resume is unimpeachable, and a guy who I think is going to have a great opportunity to do big things there at Frisco Legacy Christian.
Well, it's like you talked about too when you asked him about what it was like to learn under Randy Allen and how you're a product of the coaches that come under or before you. That's kind of one of those things. Like, not only do you get to mix that with him of learning under some of the very best, but when you start doing all the other experiences, like you said, you do have the college experience, you do have the TCU baseball experience. It's like, yeah, talk about just, I guess, well-rounded and knowing how to work a good, just basic sports program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly right. And he's a guy who I think they're going to be on the come up in a big way. So keep an eye on those Frisco Legacy Christian Eagles with their coach Toby Trotter. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts, birthday girl.
Not my birthday.
Tomorrow it is.
But not today.
Okay. But I don't have an opportunity. So
I will see you tomorrow.
So what can I do Monday then on the show?
Monday?
Yeah. Can I celebrate your birthday then?
No.
So, I can't celebrate my friend's birthday.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
Go on with your final thoughts.
My final thought is, if y'all haven't taken some time to listen to Republic of Football, our college football podcast, now is the time to start. Our college football insider Mike Craven went and visited with Dave Aranda, and they just put out that episode this week, and it is an unbelievable interview, and it's so much fun to listen to. But Mallory, Ish, and Craven have the Republic of Football out with their interview with Dave Aranda, so go listen to that, because if you haven't, you need to.
It is spectacular. It's really good, and
all of the series that Craven are doing now are spectacular.
Well, and it's a really, first of all, I think the podcast, I told Mallory this actually before we came on. I told Mallory that I think that the podcast has really hit its groove, and those three have such a great rapport. It's a great college football podcast to listen to. There's also, I don't think a lot of people have ever heard Dave Aranda talk in any sort of non-press conference setting. And I love the way Craven does interviews. I won't ruin this. The first question he asks is about Dave Aranda and how much he likes MMA.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you're not familiar with this at all, Craven he's doing these interviews with all of the 12 FBS college coaches, but they're not normal. He's not asking about his tight ends or his offensive tackles. He's asking about their lives as humans personally. Yes. And so they're fantastic interviews in the off season.
They're really, really good. And so make sure you go check that out. I talked with Sarkisian a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. He had Sarkisian on. He's going to get every FBS coach.
Yep.
And so make sure you go and subscribe to the Republic of Football, because you're probably already subscribed to this podcast.
Yeah.
It's going to do it for us. Thanks
if you're not, you should be.
Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Toby Trotter of Frisco Legacy Christian for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, the birthday girl, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please complete your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you Monday on Texas Football Today.